Hi, everyone. We are so excited to be joining you at the Women in Tech Techno Day 2021 on one of the most impactful days, International Women's Day. My name is Holly Lehman, and I am excited to kick off this session that we get to share with you, talking about the video series, Head in the Cloud, Heart in the Community. Thank you for joining today. Let's go.
Thank you so much, Holly, and hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depends where in the world you're watching from. So just before we're going to start with our session, we want to take this opportunity to also thank the sponsors who make this event possible. Without their support, we as Women in Tech would not be able to actually present today for you. So a huge thank you to each and every sponsor on the slide. And maybe, Holly, you want to give a quick shout out to your own Microsoft Azure team and tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah, so as you'll find out quickly, I am a program manager on the Azure Product Improvement team, and our whole team is for customer experience. So it's customer partner MVP, working with the team and the community to learn about how we can better Azure for our customers and our products and services that we provide to you. And I am so proud that I reached out to my leadership team and asked if they would want to be a sponsor, and they quickly said, absolutely, Women in Tech is something we absolutely believe in. Let's do it. And so I'm very happy to see them front and center. I am very proud of this moment. So thank you, Azure, Microsoft, for supporting this effort and this event.
Wonderful. So then let's quickly introduce ourselves. So the session is brought to you by Holly and myself. So let's quickly go to our introductions, who we are, where we're from, what we do. So let's head over to USA to hear from Holly.
So I am based in Seattle, Washington, kind of the heart of Microsoft. My background, I was born and raised in Nevada, Las Vegas. So born and raised there, running around hotels and hospitality since I could first walk. And after a few years, marriage and a baby, we decided to head to Seattle. And I took my skills that I learned in hospitality, which means creating an amazing event, having a passion for guest experience, and really touching people's lives and creating connection. I took that into Microsoft, and thankfully, Microsoft recognizes multiple skill sets that people have. And I have been with Microsoft for a little over 8 years now. Personally, I am a mom, I say, of 3. I have 2 little girls and a sweet little puppy who's gotten me through 2020.
Oh, yeah, we know the puppy. We're actually going to see it later.
Yes.
So yeah, quickly about me. My name is Isidora. You can call me Izzy. So shortly about my background, I'm born in a country which no longer exists, actually, in former Yugoslavia. I'm raised in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, and I followed my heart to Switzerland, and that's where I'm based right now. So in my day-to-day life, when we're not sitting at home, I'm actually an IT conference organizer, organizing community conferences, focused on everything Microsoft Cloud, data center security, and modern workplace technologies. And then apart from that, I have a huge passion for everything community. So you will often find me engaging at several conferences, including today at the Techno Day, which really is amazing to be part of. So I'm very happy to present this session to you. And then, so it is a very, very special day today, March 8th. It's International Women's Day. What does it mean to you? And what does it mean to us? So let's quickly hear from Holly. Holly, can you tell us, what are the feelings, the thoughts, what comes to mind when you think about International Women's Day?
So 2 quick answers on that. When we think historically, we think about how much we've grown and how far we've come, and the ingenuity and creativity and passion that this community comes with. And this day is very an exclamation point of all that we have achieved. And I think it's something that we should all pat ourselves on the back, because it took a lot of work. Personally, raising 2 children that are both girls, I don't want them to get into this stigma that you have to be this thing, but you can do whatever your heart desires. And so for me, setting an example for them about what women can do, this day is representative of that. We can do whatever we put our mind to, whether it is our natural inclination or something we've grown our passion to be and getting out of the box, no matter how hard we've worked. This day is representative of what's possible for all women.
Thank you, Holly. Yeah, for me, it's also it's a very big day. It has always been, actually, as far as I can remember. We always made a little celebration about it. So my mom, she raised me and my sister, 2 girls. And yeah, it has always been a day of celebration, and where we would like talk about the future, what we want to be later, what our goals are. Yeah, so for us in the family, it has always been a very important day. And I also would like to take this moment to thank my mom and my sister for also creating me the woman and the human that I am today. So, all right, let's get going. So today we're here to talk about our video series, Head in the Cloud, Heart in the Community. And if you're thinking or you haven't heard of the show before, Holly will give you a quick introduction of what it actually is.
So before we jump into the premise of this video series, and I'll get to the behind the scenes story in a bit, I just want to tell anyone listening, yes, we're doing a video series, but you might not want to do that. You might have other goals that you're thinking about and you don't know if you want to do it. We're here to show you how it's possible to achieve whatever your creative goals are, whatever your side hustle is, whatever this creative idea that you have that you think you might want to do. We're here to help strengthen you and empower you just to go do it. So that said, our goal was Head in the Cloud, Heart in the Community. We decided that during this pandemic, everybody was so focused on, negative and feeling very frustrated from being at home. And because we do truly have a passion for community, we thought, how can we help bring positive to each and every home who wants to listen? How can we highlight all of the diverse humans and technology and what they're doing and creating, how they got into tech, why they have a passion for the technology that they're working on? What are some things that they're working on that nobody knows about that's really cool that we can help promote for them? And even though in the pandemic, it's so sad that we can't do this live, in a way it was a blessing, because now we got to virtually interview more than 10 different humans all over the world, because we're all stuck at home right now. So it actually worked for our benefit. We just hit episode 10 and we had a passion for community and we wanted to bring it to the audience that are listening.
So how did we actually start, Holly? How did this whole journey begin?
Okay, so this is a Women in Tech conference. So I just want to highlight, one, the power of social media. Most people don't know this, but Izzy and I have never actually met in person, although we talk all day long. Izzy's fiance is on one of the Azure teams. So we connected on social media. We had a coffee. We had an MVP friend in common and said, you two need to connect. You have a passion. You're so similar. Connect on Twitter. So we did. We connected on Twitter. That Twitter friendship ended up becoming over a year-long friendship at this point. And during that friendship, we decided to play a joke on other tech friends who run a tech podcast, Patch and Switch, if you're into looking for other tech podcasts to listen to. And we laughed at ourselves. We did this TikTok video and asked them to join us. Well, guess what? They never joined us, but you know what we learned? We learned that we can partner together. Amazing. We can laugh with others and we can laugh at ourselves. And if you're bringing laughter and joy and having fun, that is all that matters. After that silly TikTok dance kind of went viral, we had this idea and I messaged Izzy and I was so nervous. I was sweating. I sent a text, deleted it. And after 4 times of deleting, I said, worst she can say is no. So I sent a text and said, I have an idea. What do you think about running some sort of podcast or video series where we highlight humans in tech? And thankfully for me, she said yes. And Head in the Cloud, Heart in the Community is here. And I'm so grateful for you, Izzy.
Same for you, of course, Holly. So when you think, how did we start? So as Holly already told you now, so it all started with a bit of fun, right? We did this funny dance and it really, we both connected. We realized we were like, let's just do it, right? It doesn't matter if people laugh with us, if people laugh at us. We had so much fun doing that. So from there on, when indeed we decided to start our own video series together, we actually both immediately started like into this like planning mode. So that's what I would quickly like to tell you about is our brainstorm sessions. So we both put down like what's our mission, what are our goals, what are our ideas, and that's something that I would highly recommend anyone who wants to start a blog or a video series or a podcast to really have that clear before you start, or actually when you start. It will make your path along the way a lot easier if you always follow your same mission, if you follow the goal, if you can execute the ideas that you have that you have on your mind. So I will tell you now a bit more about our steps before the kickoff. So it started with our branding first. So as you will see, we have some pink, we have some purple. Those are colors that Holly and I like. And we just from there on, we looked for a video editor who could help us build our brand, build the logo, our intro video, our intro tune. With the help of an external professional, we managed to build our brand. And that's something that we would also recommend you think of colors you like, or anything that you like that resonates the person who you are. Then secondly, we also needed to think of hardware and software which was needed, which Holly will tell you more about.
So quite often people think, oh, you're from Microsoft, you have everything set up at home, and I don't. I was 100% in the office. I was on a vacation with my family in Mexico, came home, COVID hit Washington, and I never went back to the office. So all I had was my laptop. I had an office that had no furniture and no paint on the walls and no equipment. And so kind of like what Izzy said about, getting someone to help us with our branding, I had to help figure out what do I need? I really didn't know, because I wanted it clean. I wanted to get the best setup possible. And so thankfully, Microsoft supported all the sudden work from homers to go take the time, spend the money you need to set up your office, take that time, make it whatever your comfort is. And so as you'll hear in our series, for some people, comfort is working from your closet. You can check out that episode. But for me, it was setting up a very proper business structured environment. And so we did that. And then I realized, well, if I'm going to be doing these video series, and I talk to a lot of partners and customers, I need to get a proper mic. So I emailed Izzy and a few other folks and said, what kind of microphone setup? So I ordered a microphone, set up my office, and found out I wasn't hardwired in. And every 5 seconds I was getting, a disconnect and a Wi-Fi issue. And so revamp the entire setup again. For me, I didn't have to worry about lighting because I'm sitting in front of a window. So I have natural lighting, but for others, it's important to think about, how do you appear on camera? Do you need a ring light? What do you need so that, we had to update our router. We had to update a lot to make sure that we had full connection. You were visibly aesthetically looking so that you could connect with the people that you were connecting with and really get that face-to-face feel. So those were a few tips and tricks that I used. Whatever your goal is, what you need might be a bit different, but asking for help and really taking the time to research is definitely worth it.
Thanks, Holly. And then, of course, also very important to us is our planning. So before we even started, we already defined what are our responsibilities? What is the timeline? How often do we want to have our show? We did not just want to go with the flow and see whatever. No, we said very clearly, we're going to do a monthly episode. So every month we're going to record a new video series. Then we also divided our responsibilities. We looked at our strengths. We looked at our weaknesses, where we can learn from each other, who's responsible for what. And that's something, if you're going to start a video series with somebody else or whatever you're doing in a team, right? Set those responsibilities up front. It will make working together so much easier. You know exactly who's responsible for what. Each person knows what he or she is supposed to do. Definitely I recommend set your responsibilities before you even start doing it. And then lastly, Holly and I cannot be doing the shows with all the amazing guests that we had so far. We have a lot more coming up. And just a little bit more about that procedure. Holly, please tell us more how you and I do this.
So when I'm talking about guest, for whatever your project or goal is, I would refer you back to your mission and your brand. Make sure that whatever your end result is reflects what that brand, that concept, and that mission was to begin with. So for us, being that our brand and our mission was about highlighting people in technology, we sit and we talk about every single guest. We want to make sure that we are very diverse, we're very inclusive. So we think about region, geolocation. Are they all Microsoft? Are they external Microsoft? Are they MVPs? Where are they located? What technology do they work on? And this way we can truly say that we are building a brand for the tech community.
Yeah, and then of course, the guests, they don't just show up and we record, we're done. That also, of course, requires a lot of dedication, preparation. So tell us a bit more how we do that, Holly.
So I'll start by saying it's a little bit scary to ask for help. It's really scary to hear the word no. When we reach out to some of these guests, some of them have said no. And I've started to realize that no is just an opportunity for a yes somewhere else, and that's okay. So don't be scared to ask for help. Don't be scared to, engage with somebody else. That's the first thing I'll start with when you're thinking about your goal. After we ask the scary question and they say yes, then the research begins, because we want to make sure that the time that our guest is giving us is truly worthwhile. Time is so valuable right now. And we want to make sure that when someone gives us that 20 to 30 minutes of time with us, that they leave feeling like it was completely worth it. They enjoyed it. They left on a high. They left laughing and really sharing their story with the community. So we do some online research. Izzy and I think about, what do we want to highlight with this customer or this guest? How can we make this interview different than all the other podcast and video series out there? And then we make sure that we reach out to the guests that we have and just kind of highlight a few things that we want to touch on, and then make sure we highlight what they want to talk about. And after that, we get ready, put it on the calendar, and here we go.
Indeed. So to jump in on what Holly just said on the topics and the stories. So what's for us very important is that before we actually start recording, but then for you, if it's like writing a blog or whatever activity you're looking into doing, we always think, what is the message that we want to bring across, right? So there are many things that we try to think of. And to start with, is our priority is our guest. So what is important to our guests to have highlighted? Is it a book they wrote? Is it a blog they released? Is it a software product they worked on? Is it a session they're going to present at the conference? Is it another activity? Like whatever they have done for the community and want to have highlighted, that's something that we love to bring on our show. And like Holly said, as we do our research, we often... we find like the little bits and pieces of where our guest has been active. So we always love to touch on that topic. Then secondly, because we are doing this video series for the community, we always try to think, what is interesting for our community to know more about? What is currently important? What is currently relevant? What are topics we want to discuss? So we had Black Lives Matters. We had working from home. We had homeschooling kids during a pandemic. Building your own brand. I mean, we have such a diverse series of topics, which we believe are very relevant for the community to learn more about from our guests. Then lastly, you will always find topics which are close to Holly's and my heart. So also today on International Women's Day, we often focus also on the women in tech part, right? We strongly believe that women who empower women are a lot stronger. And yeah, we just love to bring that message across, to uplift others, and yeah, to shine a light on a lot of the amazing women in tech we have in our community. And that's something that also we find very important. Then once all the preparation work is done, then of course it's the big moment where we start doing the recording. It's always a very exciting day. It gives us a lot of purpose. And like I said, it all sounds very perfect, but there are imperfections, and Holly will touch on that topic.
So being that, my background was hospitality and running events and community programs for Microsoft for the last 5+ years, and Izzy doing all of her IT convention events, we're used to really dotting every T and checking every box and doing all the things because we have, people traveling and spending money to be with us at these various events that we've run. And so for me, I've had to learn, now that we're not flying and traveling and making sure that we have everything together, we have to give ourselves a little wiggle room and a bit of grace, because I have a dog that, I don't know if you've heard, has been scratching on this door since the beginning of this session. I have kids that are out there homeschooling. I have a husband that, he's taking real estate calls, and you might have the garbage truck that drives by. And these are things that, now that we are all based from home, they are out of our control. And so whether it's Izzy having a camera issue or my mic didn't pick up the vocals as well as it should, just know that you did your very best. And sometimes those imperfections actually end up being some of the most fun benefits.
Yeah, so one of them was indeed your puppy. Tell us what happened here, Holly.
So during COVID, I needed a new little furry friend, and we got Poppy. Poppy is my little Shih Tzu Maltese who usually is sitting on my lap during all of my meetings. And during this meeting, she really wanted my attention, and we were recording. And in the back, you start to hear her scratching on the trash can and barking. And it was just at the perfect time where it ended up being an amazing teaser video. When normally I would have been red-faced and stressed out, we actually ended up laughing a whole lot about it.
Indeed. And we did not just have dogs. We also had cute little daughters popping in, right? We recently also had another one on our recording with Jess Dotson, where her daughter walks in. But anyways, what the message is here, deal with those. Well, I don't even want to call them imperfections, because for me, this is actually perfect. This is what it shows. Like, it's real, it's honest, it's how it is, right? And what Holly said with like camera issues or microphones, it's technology after all. And there's also like, for example, you say too much or something, like all of that. Put those feelings aside, like deal with it, that's the way it is. And that you make the best out of it. So don't put too much weight or attention to things that you don't find good, because people will always find value in your message, despite what happens in the background. So then after the recordings are done, we of course have to work on the post productions, which we also completely do ourselves. So we cut and edit the video. We use Camtasia for that. Once that is done and we have reviewed our episode, we have added the links, and both Holly and I are satisfied, that's where we upload it to our YouTube channel, which we will also show you a bit more later. And then from there, again, it's the power of social media. So we mostly use Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, several groups on Facebook and LinkedIn, and most importantly, community. It's so amazing for the people out there that support our show, that help us liking it, retweeting, sharing with their network. And that's, again, where we would like to encourage you, like, don't be afraid to ask for help, right? If you need somebody's support to amplify an episode on a certain topic, which is close to their heart, make sure you share it with them. And to leverage that power of your network and the community.
And before you go too far into the next, I always have to highlight this. One thing we think about when we are at the International Women's Day event, and we think about the partnership that you can have in empowering other women that you're working with, Izzy has taught me so much. And one lesson that I am taking with me every day and I'm still working on, get to know whatever platform is that you're using, whether it's GitHub or Twitter or, there's all different social platforms outside of just these that are mentioned. But the lessons that Izzy's taught me is get to know like the back end of it. What does the algorithm look like? Because I've learned, thanks to Izzy's help, that based on how you're posting, how many emojis, if you're editing, if you're deleting, how these things look on Instagram when you're doing it on a post versus a My Story, when to use music, when to not. I mean, there's just so many things. And so whether you're looking at using a technical platform or whether it be a blog platform or any of the social channels, make sure you do a little research and never be too afraid to ask for help or take feedback.
Indeed. And then something that you might be aware of is imposter. It's something Holly and I deal with a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, tell us a bit more about that, Holly.
So I threw a few questions up here that we've already kind of chatted about, but I would say, in a lot of scenarios, so, like I've said, I am a non-techie in tech. I am learning tech. I am learning to love tech. But when I first started, I never wanted to speak up in a room. And so the thought of, wanting to speak to many people through a video series, I thought, well, will my message land? Is what we're sharing like what everybody else wants to hear about? What if the dog barks? What if my mic goes out? What if I don't post it right? I mean, there's just so many things. We've had people reach out to us and say, well, there's tons of video series and podcasts out there. Why would I spin up a new one? Well, what we've learned is so far, if you have a passion and if you're having fun, you are talking to the right audience and people are going to listen. And all the nuances that you give yourself a hard time about, all they do is help you learn and grow to be better for the next series, episode, or whatever the thing is that you're working on.
Yeah. So then, of course, what did we learn? So doing our video series, it's not only delivering to community, we also get so much back. So each and every guest that we had on our show, like Holly and I afterwards, whenever we spoke again, we were like always reflecting back to one of our episodes where we heard this or where we learned that. So it's also you give and you take, right? So it's not only running a show and giving to the community, we get so much in return. We learn so much ourselves every time we speak to our guests. So there are a few things that really stayed with us from the lessons we learned. So Holly, will you please tell us quickly about your one key takeaway you learned from Head in the Cloud?
So this was hard because I have many, but I would say for me, what personally resonated is that when Donna Sakar, she is a cloud advocate on the Power Platforms team, and she is the one that works from her closet. Why? Because she runs her own fashion line, Prima Donna, outside of her day job and all the things that she does. And she shows up every day with hair done and a dress on and heels, and that's who she is. And so she's reminded all of us to loudly be who you are, whether that's a Star Wars lover or it's a cupcake maker or whatever your person is. Go out in the world and be exactly who you are. And I literally have told myself this every day since we had that show.
Absolutely, yeah. And one of the takeaways also from that episode for me was also build your tribe. That's something that we really learned, to ask for help, but to indeed have a tribe. I mean, it's so powerful when women empower women, when women uplift each other instead of bringing each other down or feeling competitions or so on. It's so much more fun together. And look for people in your network. Look for not just women, like any tribe that you can have, to support you in your work, to support you in your community activities. It also makes life so much more fun, I think. And I also want to highlight also here, Holly is definitely very close to me, right? So it's amazing, Holly, to have you part of that tribe, and I'm very excited for all the journeys that we still have ahead of us. So not that we only learned from our guests, we also learned from ourselves. We learned from technology. We learned many lessons, and there are a couple of them that we really want to highlight for you. So Holly, do you want to start first?
Yeah. So when we think about what your passion or what your effort or goal is, that's your passion. And when you speak from your heart, everybody wants to hear what you have to say, and it will land, it will resonate. So give yourself the opportunity to share what your passion is. And your voice is important. And this was something that was really hard for me to be okay with. But when I realized that my voice is amplifying a passion and celebrating community, we had to do it. It was something that we really believed in. And the others don't stop learning. We chatted about this a little bit. You know, when you make mistakes or you find flaws or ways to grow, all you're doing is bettering yourself. You're bettering whatever your initiative is. And so keep going. And as we said from the beginning, have fun. If you're having fun, it's worth all the work.
Absolutely. So I highlight that definitely as my number one is indeed have fun. The more fun you have in what you do, the more passion you will feel, the more success you will get. It's really believe in the activities you are doing. And that's something that, just a simple example for Holly and myself. So we are 9 hours apart. Holly's based in US, I'm based in Europe. So it's always a puzzle to find a time that works for the best of us. But it's often my evening, which is then early AM for Holly. And whenever we have something going on, Holly wakes up so happy. I always get messages like, "Oh, I'm so excited for this day. I'm so happy we're going to present today at the Techno Day." So yeah, always have fun in what you do. Secondly, for video series, what was very important for me from the very beginning is indeed to have the right equipment. And what I noticed for myself, but that's different, of course, for every person, the better the equipment, the more comfortable I also feel. So I have a microphone, I have the lightning, I have a camera set up. It just feels that technology is helping to make a successful video series. And then lastly, preparation. So we're 10 episodes in. I truly hope we're going to do 100 more of them. However, I feel for each and every episode, it's an equal amount of preparation. So the work is not getting, well, technically it is getting a bit less and less because we're getting more advanced in what we're doing. But the time we put into our preparation, researching our guests, calls between Holly and myself, it's something which, I would highly recommend. No matter how often you've done it before, always make sure that you're well prepared. Whew. So, speaking of tips, there's one final one I would really love to encourage every girl, every woman, every person that's joining us today on International Women's Day. Would love to have more females also around us in IT, but also in the Microsoft MVP program. So if you're interested in joining the MVP family, or if you're maybe insecure that you will not fit in, then I'm the perfect example of that. I always thought as a non-techie into the tech world, I will never make it, or that's not a program for me. However, turned out the complete opposite, and I would highly encourage to look into the program. If you're interested to join, then feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to support you in reaching that goal.
Okay, and like we said from the beginning, we are huge community advocates. So you can find us on Twitter. You can find us on LinkedIn. We would love to connect with you and have you follow our journey and allow us to follow yours.
Absolutely. And then apart from connecting with each other, make sure you do check out our show we have been talking about. So Head in the Cloud, Heart in the Community. We have over 10 episodes currently on our YouTube channel. You can find an amazing lineup of Microsoft MVPs, Microsoft regional directors, employees, community advocates, other women in tech. And we discuss several topics like diversity and inclusion, homeschooling, working from home, building your brand, writing a book, running a fashion industry. Highly encourage you to follow us and subscribe to our channel so you always get notified whenever we have something new coming up. With that, Holly, do you want to say our final thank you to everybody around the world?
Yes, this is a huge pleasure to share our story with you. We hope that we inspired you to go try something, to do whatever your goal is. connect with us. Like we said, huge thank you to Jen Ashley and everybody that is running the Women in Tech Techno Day event on International Women's Day. This is a huge honor for us to be a part of this event. Enjoy the rest of the sessions. Take care, be safe, and follow us on Twitter. Join our next session. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Take care, everyone.